Terrified, alone, and lost, I entered my third week of college. I just recently moved from Atlanta to Texas, away from all my friends and family, where I only knew two other people going to school with me. I had made the decision to attend Texas Christian University and was one of my only friends who had decided to go. All of my other friends had made the decision to go to the University of Georgia, around 45 minutes from our house. So growing up in high school, I had a friend group of about 5 to 6 girls and a guy friend group of about 6 guys. And 3 out of the 5 girls ended up at Georgia, and 3 of the 6 boys ended up at Georgia. So that was a vast majority of our friend group. So, as I mentioned before, I was one of the only ones that decided to branch out and go pretty far from home in my friend group. And so I had decided to go to TCU, and within those first 3 weeks, I had joined a sorority. I had made a few friends in my sorority and a few friends outside of my sorority. But it wasn't all great. I was constantly checking my social media, and I kept seeing how much I was missing out on because I wasn't at Georgia. I was convinced that all my friends at Georgia were having a lot more fun than I was, and that I just wasn't measuring up. They also always had each other, whereas I was here alone in Texas without really anyone at all, except for the few people I knew, but they didn't really understand what I was going through. But a few of my closest friends at TCU didn't actually join sororities. And they actually were not happy at all first semester because they couldn't seem to find their place. They were going through sort of the same thing I was, where they kept seeing all their friends from back home and comparing the fun that they could be having there or the fun that they were sort of having here. And they were all considering transferring, which was really hard for me because it put the idea in my head that maybe I can transfer and maybe I would have more fun at Georgia than I was having at TCU. So, Christmas break finally rolled around, and I got to see all my friends for the first time. I was so excited. But after about an hour of being with all of them, I realized how stuck they were still in high school. They still had crushes on the same boys, and they still had the same friendship issues that they did in high school. And thinking about it from my perspective, I was like, wow, I am so over that. Like, high school was great, but I've moved so much further, than that, and I just don't really want to be a part of that. And so I realized how different my story was being written. I had taken a huge step outside of my comfort zone to go to TCU, and it made me become a much more independent person. I reached for my goals and I achieved them. I constantly went out and tried new things because why not? And they were still stuck in the same little safe bubble that they had been their entire lives, basically. So just to summarize a little bit about what I said, I realized how impactful social media could be and how it could negatively portray what all my friends were doing. That being said, it made me feel like their lives were so much better than mine at the time, whereas in my perspective, I was having a lot more fun than they were because they were constantly trying to make it seem like they were just having the best time ever. And after this was all said and done, after I saw them for the last time, I realized how awesome TCU has been for me and how it's just really broadened my horizons to a lot of things that I would never have encountered at Georgia. It's made me step out of my comfort zone. I've become friends with people I never thought I'd become friends with. And I've just fallen in love with my major and all my friends here, and they just make me the best person and are constantly pushing me to be my best self.